Audio check, ladies and gentlemen. Pedro and I will be with you shortly. Check 1 2 1 2, ladies and gentlemen. Check 1 2 1 2. An audio check, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if my mouth and fingers are not right with the sound. 1 2 3 4 5. All right, everybody. Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to DYOR Live. here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great show here on this great network. It is, well, it's Juneteenth. What day does that mean? I'm not sure, but we'll call it June 19th. The federal holiday today in the United States. It means some of the markets are closed, banks are closed, and liquidity is low. So not a lot happening in the markets today. Or is there? Let's talk about that later in the show today. Also, on the news front coming up, Mooch, the man known as Mooch. And I don't mean Ward Carroll, the famous aviator who has a great podcast whose flight nickname was Mooch. I mean Anthony Scaramucci. Mooch. He came out and just said, look, I'm betting on Solana, not ETH. ETH is a legacy product, and they have too much to upgrade and don't have the ability to do it. And he is going all in on Solana. I thought that was interesting. And really, Pedro, something that you and I have talked about a lot here, it was parroted by none other than Scott Bessent, the U.S. Secretary of Treasury. He just comes out and says stable coins will strengthen the U.S. dollar.
Wow, shocking.
Comes on the heels of the U.S. Senate passing the Genius Act. And I thought that the House had already passed it because it came up for a vote. It went down on a procedural vote to send it back to the table, as they say. My voice is really low, isn't it? So he's out there pushing it, hoping that Congress will get its act together and pass the Genius Act. But needless to say, that's what you and I have been talking about for a while. All those U.S. dollars coming into stable coins essentially lock those dollars up in one big fat staking method. And that's a good thing. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome everyone on Rumble. Welcome those of you watching on YouTube, and those two people we have watching on Twitch. Got to get the X thing started here. Well, the X thing is started here. Let's get those comments up and running. As always, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro and I are growing this small little show into a larger one. If you could like, share, comment, like, click, do all those things. If you're on mobile, on YouTube, hit the hearts and 100% buttons. Those things are great also. It would really, really help us out in those categories altogether. Anyway, as I always say, it took me a while to say this today, but went through the news first. The man in the box next to me, Pedro Garcia, my crypto chart analyst, co-host, and good friend. Ladies, Pedro, welcome to the show. What's happening, Pedro?
Not much, man. It is a beautiful day here in the neighborhood. Honestly, it's a gorgeous day.
Neighborhood.
Shout out to Mr. Rogers. Rest in peace, dog.
Or Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Robinson. No,
today's word of the day. Escape. Yo, Robinson, the rent's due. You got the rent. Today's word, escape.
Escape.
For those of you too young to know what we're talking about, you're missing some classic Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. What was I gonna say? Shoot, I lost it.
Welcome, AI Alpha Wolf. If you're a dev of a token, I would not be launching on Moonshot, and I would not be using Meteora. I don't know what that means. Oh, I know what it means. AI Alpha Wolf had a problem with the launchpad Meteora, and I don't know anything about Moonshot. Oh, wait, that's Deck Screeners. Moonshot. Anyway, Alpha, thank you very much for posting that. Let all of our viewers know what's going on in the world here.
Yes. And boom, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 20, 50.
Anyway, lots to talk about today.
89. Even
though it's a slow day. As I said, the banks are going to have to get over these banking holidays stuff. I mean, the rest of the world is moving to 24/7 everything, and here in the U.S., the banks still work about 30 hours a week. And obviously, if you're a massive institutional client, you'll get after-hours help and all that. But for everybody else, nope. And frankly, crypto, and with the U.S. government pushing crypto, it's only at the expense of the banking community. All of these 24-hour payment rails that the banks don't support, crypto stablecoins, are just going to bypass the banks, especially when places like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and all those institutions can take stablecoins and not have to wait on your stupid bank transfers.
Well, what I think more interesting than anything is just that the idea behind where we're sitting at right now, their obstinance to really want to like keep their own status or their own system is really interesting. I really think that like legacy financial is like it is in America because America is the one who runs. I mean, just look at the stock market today.
Yeah.
Right, or the futures market. Without America, I mean, you're talking 2/3 of the volume is just not there. I mean, literally, we are more than half of the volume that comes in, which is one nation. And right now, if you think about it, if our dollar's down and we still come in with that amount of volume, you got to just assume like it's just we are America is a juggernaut, and so the banking system can actually go through and really dictate what they want and how they want it, which is, I get it, right? Like it makes sense, but ultimately there is this, it's kind of, the world is going to be like, look, you guys have to, like, you've got to man up. Like, I hate to use the word man up, right? But they've got it. They've got to set things up appropriately and really allow people to be able to, for lack of a better word, you know, they've got to take care of things and they've got to make it better. That's just the best way of saying it. Anyways, besides that, how is Bitcoin today?
Bitcoin has been trading in the idiot box for the past since 4 o'clock yesterday. It's from my opinion, it pumped yesterday at 4 o'clock and then just went sideways with basically because today kicks off a summer 4-day weekend. Today's a holiday. A lot of people in Wall Street go out to the Hamptons, Jersey Shore, take Friday off. So liquidity is thin. And since 4 o'clock yesterday, it's done nothing. It tried to roll over here a little bit and head down. It went down into the pocket, as they say, where the 618 fib retracement is. It's bouncing a little bit out of that, but I'm willing to bet with today's low liquidity, it'll just sink down even more, which is fine with me because I have a little bit of a short on right now.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. And what are you looking for? What are you looking at in particular to be at the catalyst to really see it get it going?
To get it going? I don't think anything's going to get going. I think it's just going to not go. And then the low liquidity and people will sell at the end of the week and just take profits. I mean, it did go up at the beginning of the week. And so at the end of the week, end of the week, two things. You preach that beginning of the week go up, end of the week go down. And so we had the beginning of the week go up. And the end of the week should follow that same pattern, but we also have a holiday today. Not a lot of traders. So smaller market makers can probably have a little bit more influence on the market. We shall see. We shall see how that shakes out, as they say. Where is my great graphics machine?
Nice.
There's the show prices. What do you see, Pedro? What is the Pedro Damas?
I've actually been looking at live cattle, which is
live cattle.
Yes.
I had dead cattle last night. It was delicious steak the missus and I cooked up.
That was so good, dude. Oh, I'm sorry, that was good. Add to main panel. Add to new panel. I just don't. I'm trying to learn how to use. Shout out to Mr. Wallin, who created barcharts.com. It is an amazing site because it has every type of comment. He's an old crude oil trader down in the CME pits, generations. I mean, great grandfather, father, and him before they kind of got ex-nayed and then the computers took over. But he created this website here, which is amazing. I absolutely love it. And so one of the things that I look at is I kind of look at everything to see what's going on. Ultimately, like looking at food determines how much money you're going to spend within your pocket, which then allows you either to buy more crypto or more crypto. That's why we look at crude oil, right? Crude oil is a similar situation. As that goes up, everything goes up, and so that's why we look at the energies. And so I look also at food like poultry. I look at um, live cattle. So live cattle is really kind of just over the last, I mean, was it 2 years?
I just laugh hearing you say that, live cattle.
Really?
Well, because first of all, it's not something that even in the years that I was in the commodities markets a long time ago, cattle was always a Chicago thing, not a New York thing. So I never heard about it. But also, just the fact that you have to differentiate between live and dead.
Yeah. Well, the reason why is so you have what happens is people will bet in the future, right? We talked about futures and perpetual futures, but before perpetual, and I don't think perpetual futures will come into the commodities per se when I'm talking about like corn and things like that. We might, but it's going to have to be some type of hybrid because you need to have the 3-month periods, right? Same thing with cattle, pork, poultry. All those things need to have these type of setups where it's every 3 months. But ultimately, what people will do is they will bet out, or they will speculate. If they, people they need to secure themselves. If you are a producer, you need to say, hey, we're going to have a down year this year where price is going to drop. So we want to make sure that we can offset our loss of price of poultry to the to what they produce. So what they'll do is they'll go through, they'll take a short, and what they'll do is basically kind of play this level where it's like where price sits and where the actual money that they need to make sure that they're profitable as a farm. And so they'll make sure that they kind of really play these shorts here or longs to make sure that they're okay. And so what's interesting is you'll see these guys. So over the past few years, I mean, we've seen the price of many things because of inflation just go up because it costs them more money to actually go through and feed the animals, and then hence you want to go looking at the cost of hay or things that they use for grain to feed the animals. So watching these things can I give you a full spectrum of what the market is really going to do. And so hence, or at least you can see where inflation is really going, and you can see what's actually happening in the market. And by looking at the charts prior and watching the trend rise, you can actually sit there and say, all right, we're going to have some real inflation kicking in because we're watching the feed itself go up, like grain, corn, and things that are that many farm people completely understand, right? That goes up and it makes everything goes up exponentially in regards to where we see. And so crude oil at the same time, just a very similar thing. If I have to go through and pay somebody to travel it, and here's the thing, they're paying a lot. They're buying in bulk here. They're not buying in we're talking metric tons of hay, metric tons of rice, all what do you call oats, the things that they use to feed the cattle and or animals. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is I want to bring this up because I think we're going to keep seeing, I think we might see a slowdown, a pullback a little on live cattle and a lot of these situations. But ultimately, I think we're going to still see an inflation come in. So yesterday with Powell's statement, we're going to keep the inflation. We're going to keep what we're seeing with Trump, Trump's whole entire situation with calling Powell an idiot, or actually the exact word was stupid. And the reason why he said that was literally because the rest of the world, from I think it's why am I forgetting the name? New Zealand to every Fed out there is starting to lower the rates, and some of them are doing it very aggressively.
Europe's been very aggressive on it.
Yes, yeah, Europe has been extremely, and this is why we talk about as they're lowering their interest rates, right? Bonds themselves are kind of messing up, and we've talked about this now for a while. But ultimately, you can really see it kind of happening here when it comes to your where you go to the grocery store and how you pay. So we're going to go into some of that earlier today. So you're asking, what am I looking at? That's really what I've been kind of forecasting to see what we're seeing here. And then ultimately it will give us a good kind of analysis of what we're looking at when it comes to your Bitcoin holdings and how your just the bottom dollar, the way you guys spend your money and how much extra money you're going to have. So with that said, let's go ahead and go over Bitcoin here real quick, and then we can go over. So yesterday I said I expected us to see it go up. Oh, there's my pretty nice screeching cats. So yesterday we talked about during the Fed, I expected it to go up and then come down, right? I was expecting it to hit that 8 daily period moving average, and we're calling this the snail, where literally you can see here that little hump. The snail, and so you can see a little snail right there, right? I'm calling it the snail cross. Basically what that means is you can see here are the two little things that they have kind of just hang out, right? And so we saw the price fell through. Yesterday we saw it go up almost at the 8 period moving average. I was expecting us to hit the 8 period moving average and to see it turn down, but we did not. We fell short around 4 o'clock, and it was a little delayed. Powell spoke for quite a bit, and so
yeah, he did. He spoke for way too long.
Well, I don't think so, because he had to explain what he's doing here, and again, I'm not for Powell or against Powell. I don't know really fully what they're doing, but I have to sit there and look at the full metrics that they're looking at. And analyze it and see, is this man playing a political game, or is he playing I'm trying to watch out while I'm under fire for the American people? That's really what I'm trying to see. Is he doing that? Is he playing the political game where he just doesn't like Trump and now he's refusing to lower interest rates? Or is he actually looking at real metrics, and the metrics are saying, yeah, we're still seeing inflation creep up because of these metrics. And so that's why we got to keep inflation high, or we got to keep the interest rates high. So that's really what I'm trying to balance, to see what he's really looking at, what he's trying to do here without trying to get in it. I mean, trying to get into his head, right? Like I can sit down and say, oh, were these the full metrics? And you can go on it and you can see, but also they look at many other metrics outside of what we as Americans look at, right? Like they also see America, when we lower our interest rates, it brings, I mean, you don't understand, it changes the world's dynamics fully, because of, like I said earlier on here on the pod, or on the show, that America is literally 2/3 of the world's like stock market, whatever, or at least 50 to 40% of buying of goods and services. And so these little things have major fluctuations if down the road happens. Now, he could be a little stagnant and not lowering the rates, and it could hurt us. And so, but that's what I'm trying to parse out, what is actually happening. So I'm looking at a bunch of other metrics to really see or get a good grasp on it. So
I think Powell should just be general about it. I don't think he should go into specifics. I mean, that's not the role. To be honest, that's not the role of his job or the Fed, is to lay out the specifics of the economy for the U.S.'s consumption and analysis. They should just make, frankly, I think they should just go back to not even announcing it, just making the change and being done with it. Say, all right, well, it is what it is. We think it that way because it needs a higher rate. That's it. Bye. And go back to it. It's too much of a dog and pony show. This 9-hour speech he gave yesterday, answering every nuance, is bringing him, fame and glory. Almost kind of like it's starting to remind me of Gary Gensler wanting to have the limelight. Because frankly, if you're going to give a speech with technical details that long, that you should be like, it's when those emergencies happen and the governor steps up and they ask him, well, what happened in that emergency? Oh, let me get the emergency director over here to answer that question. Powell should be saying, oh, let me get the head of the equities or head of, the Fibber department to answer that for you. Or they should just say, just release a press release. Rates going up, no rate change, rates going down. I don't like it when they start to do the dog and pony show, because that means there's dogs and ponies in the room and not men and adults. I should say men and women and adults.
You know, the thing is if he's short and he's just to the point, then there's a lot of levity to everything that he says. And if one miss not explaining an explanation of what he has, then brings a shadow of really what can happen. And I think what he's trying to do is literally go over a lot of the details so that the banking administration, and I don't know how to put them that way, because right now we're seeing like there's a restructure of banking with crypto. So, and a lot of it is a change in a lot of the legislation being changed in America is really vital right now. And so we don't know what is going to be the effects of that. And so for Powell to come out there and say, and again, I'm not pro or against him. I'm just trying to understand him and what he's doing, right? Like you must what's the old saying, walk a mile in somebody's shoes to understand where they're at. And so they have, like I've said, right now, it's a bit precarious because we don't know with the new legislation, everything that's coming, potentially we could see inflation that outsteps your typical income that most Americans make, and they need that. That's a real thing. And so to sit there and just for him to say, hey, just get to the point and do that, I think is asinine. Like, because he needs to explain what's happening. So most people can actually either capitalize on it or be ready for circumstances that could potentially happening. So I think that's important to do. But you know, I don't think he's trying. I mean, maybe a little, because he is getting a lot of attention and a lot of play and a lot of speaking engagements where he gets paid money for it. But some of that stuff's important. I mean, a lot of that stuff that he spoke about yesterday was very important. So, and unless you really understand the nuances, it just sounds like wonk talk. But it's important. It's like me going over with you guys, right, the idea of what's actually happening in the economy and trying to show you with the moving averages and how we're seeing supply wicks and demand wicks. And I'm trying to hit, even though it's complicated, you need to understand these things so you can capitalize on Bitcoin's movements.
Right.
Right. Potentially, you know, like, because
No, I get that. But my point was that was never the job of the Fed to explain the economy. I mean, they're Wall Street employs, you know, people that make $10 million a year to do that, and consume that information internally in companies and stuff like that. And the news organizations do the same thing. And I just think they should just be in the business of just setting the rates and being done with it and being more of a behind the scenes group than a big public facing company. And for that matter, that too much, the markets revolve too much around, you know, Thursdays at 2 p.m. or whatever. And I don't like that. I think it should be more subtle, and the markets shouldn't revolve around when that guy speaks. I don't think anybody should be that important. Obviously, the president has an overwhelming social media presence, so things get out of control with his talk.
I was about to bring that up as well, because
but that's a totally different story. I just think the Fed should be a behind the scenes group that's not out there in public. First of all, because they're out there in public and there's people like you consuming the info. Oh, I like this. But there's also a lot of people out there throwing darts at the screen, wanting to bad things to happen to the Fed because they're out there and so public, and they blame them. They're like, oh, see, they're in control of our lives, you know, and this kind of stuff. And they should just sit behind the scenes. I mean, if anyone should be out there, it should be people from the U.S. Treasury, and Bessence is out there, but not like the Fed. All right, well, that's enough of that topic. While we were talking, Bitcoin came down, and I'm now profitable in my trade, so that's good. But will it drop below this double bottom here? Need it to do that. Need it to go down till I have a stop, or not a stop. I have a take profit at 103.8. I think what it is.
Well, let's check the moving averages and see.
Just right near the 786 retracement.
Well, we don't have any much here, so it looks like it's pulling back here on the 4-hour. You can see here, especially, yeah, you can definitely see it. So it definitely looks like it is bearish, or we should see it continue down. There are seller wicks stepping in on the higher time frame. So we should expect it to come down even further and break through this low. There wasn't much of resistance established. See a small wick here on that 2 hour as well as the 1 hour. So it definitely looks weak. Right now, they're just basically looking for liquidity because America's not in the market here. So you can see they came up, took these stops here, sitting at the previous hour mark. They came up and they stopped all those guys out who thought the market was going to continue. And it looks like they're probably going to continue down here to that 103.90 or 103.928 area. And to understand the fullness of that is really, it's important, right? Like this is what I'm saying, right? Like you're like, why isn't it going down? Because it doesn't have enough liquidity. So because there's not enough liquidity, they've got to go up first to get the liquidity to drop the market. And so it's important to understand that
you can't sell if there's no buys.
There you go. There you go. As I've said many a times, you need buyers for the market to go down. And so you can see here that the market is not going down. It needs some buyers. They're creating buyers to drop the market. When we look at the 30-day or 30-minute moving average, you can see that 8 has been one over the last couple hours here. Since 9 o'clock, where we just been playing off of the 8:30, and you can see it kind of playing off of this. So I expect to see this kind of come down. The only concern I have though is that we're not necessarily seeing enough seller volumes here, enough seller volume here. So it might pick up a little bit more before we see it come down. So it might need a little bit more buyers to step in. So
I might note that the spot price right now is above the futures price again. So the futures markets are anticipating going down.
Absolutely,
going down.
Absolutely.
And I only know that because over on the great graphics machine next to me it says 104.231. That's the spot price from CoinGecko. And the Mexi futures price right now is $100 less. Nice.
Guys, if you guys do us a favor, we got 10 viewers there on Rumble. If you guys could hit the like button, share button, that helps us out immensely. And then also click on that link when you share it. The reason why we ask you guys to do that is literally because that helps show the algorithm, hey, look, people are watching this. Let's push this out to more people who like crypto, or just like looking at Wong talk on the economy. I was really interested as well is what was actually happening in Iran with Israel, and how Trump is still quite like his comments yesterday of after he said Powell was dumb was I just find that so funny. It's crazy. Anyways, but the fact that he said that that he told Iran, he's like, why didn't you come to the table? I thought that was really interesting. The emotions that he shared of just like, man, all these deaths for nothing. If you would have come to the table 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, about a month ago, it would have changed things.
Yeah.
And all those lives.
And not only did they not come to the table, they took the opposite approach and said, nope, we're going to make a bomb.
Yeah.
And Israel immediately said, that's that. We'll have enough of this shit. This is our opportunity now to take this stuff out and have the world go, okay, that's fine. And the rest of the world right now is going, oh man, thank God someone's finally dealing with those basket cases in Iran, because it's been a disaster now for 40 years. And finally, Pedro, I noticed it happening yesterday, so the word's getting out amongst the PR and comms people, is they're finally bringing up that 50 years ago, they were held the hostages at was it 50 years ago or was it 40 years ago?
70s.
50. It was in 78. So, okay, 45 years ago. That the Iranian government fell, and the new government came on, which was just these crazy guys that were the religious leaders, took over a secular bureaucratic government, and took our embassy hostage for 444 days. I think it was 43 prisoners or something like that. Some great stories of people getting out of the country, being helped by the Canadians. Also, and that there's some great movies about that. But the point is that we never, not revenge isn't the right word. We've never put this issue to bed, and it's time to put this issue to bed. I mean, in fact, one of the news announcers said, look, we've had a number of presidents since then. We've had Reagan, we've had Bush. He went all the way up through Obama, Trump, etc. And nobody's dealt with it. And now finally Trump in the second term is saying, all right, we've had enough of this. And your rhetoric about America's the great Satan and all this type of stuff, and building a nuclear bomb, that just means you guys are going to ultimately do it, and then you're going to use it. And we've had enough. We've had enough. And we go on. I mean, we said this the other day, like $300 billion of our defense budget is spent in the Middle Eastern area, either building equipment or paying soldiers or whatever it is, and all because of Iran. And like I said the other day, there's a little bit in there to keep the Soviet, oh my God, how old am I? The Russian influence out. But the point is that this has been a really expensive problem. And it's altered the lives of so many people, not just Americans. The Iranians have screwed up. They screwed up Gaza. They've screwed up Lebanon. They screwed up Syria. They screwed up all these countries that had don't let me, wait, I didn't mean Gaza was a country, you commenters. But all these places in the world that had a chance. Lebanon had been coming back from their awful civil war, which was influenced by the Syrians, which was influenced by Iran. They were coming back, and then Hezbollah got strong and ruined the whole south of the country. And the Israelis helped ruin it too because they bombed them. And then in Gaza, ruined. Note the Iranians were largely pushed out of the West Bank in Israel because the Palestinian Authority there is still the government, and said, you know what, you guys, we understand it, but we're not going to be taking your money. We're just going to try and wait this thing out. Good strategy for them. Seems to be working out. And notice there's no bombs falling in Ramallah or anyone rioting. But the rest of it just needs to be taken care of. And I hate to say this for the people that run the government of Israel, or Iran. I just hope the people of Iran are done with it. They're all fleeing. Do you see the video of them fleeing Tehran? Dude, they're getting out of town. They're like, the hurt's coming.
When Trump said you need to get out right now, it was really okay. He didn't. First of all, he didn't have to do that. But he could have stepped in. This is the part that I fight with, because it's like and again, I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but is America the lackey boy of Israel, right? And again, I know that we have an intrinsic value. Our values are almost linked together. So I get, like, we are connected to them from a religious standpoint. Many people want to say that we're not a Christian country. Dude, go over to Europe, go watch TV, and then watch our TV. Right. It's like, no, I mean, they're just that alone itself shows the nuances between here. So we have a really strong connection from a religious standpoint, from the Judeo-Christian value. The fact is that each individual person is made.
Sorry, you got to go for a minute there, Pedro. I got to.
All right. So as he's doing that, Tom is having in his apartment right now some issues regarding fire. A few weeks ago there was a fire, and long story short, the people who are fixing it right now shut off half the power, but then at the same time they're retesting and getting the fire alarm all ready and set up. So he thought that was over, but I guess not. So as just an explanation, let me jump right back into here. The idea that America, we still have a deep connection there with Israel, because from a religious standpoint and a value standpoint, we believe in the individual rights above all else, right? That they're made in the image of God, Papa, Yahweh, whatever you want to believe. That is predominantly, and this is what our Constitution was built on a fundamental level. Now, I bring this up because is this really what's governing? Are we being governed by this, which I'm okay with because I'm a Christian, but also at the same time, are we like, is this a money game? Is this almost a money ball situation? And so this is where I'm fighting with and trying to understand the full nuances here, because the fact is that Trump, when he said get out of Tehran, or as it's, man, I've been trying to nail it. Tehran. Anyways,
Tehran.
Tehran or Tehran. That idea behind saying he didn't have to do that, and so people did get out. That shows that there's got to be some form of caring, and they're just trying to go through and annihilate the government side of basically saying we want to see the death of America, and we want to see the death of all Western ideology, and most importantly, Israel. And we've seen this through multiple since the 1970s, where they've said to destroy and annihilate the people who have taken over Palestine. You know, they never said they want to see the death of, you know, Israel directly, but it was always in a very roundabout way. And so it's just been really interesting to see this. I don't know. Did I go on too long? Go ahead, brother.
Oh yeah, but there was no other content because the fire alarm is going off in my building. Actually, it wasn't the fire alarm; it was the building announcement system, which is part of the fire alarm. For those of you who know, I had a fire in the building here in Ottawa 3.5 weeks ago or so, and there's 40 units in the building divided in two halves, and one half of the building still doesn't have power since then. They've been rebuilding the electrical system because there's an electrical fire. They were supposed to turn the power out earlier today. I thought they didn't need to on our side. They just announced that the power will be going out in 15 minutes.
All right, so we'll make this quick. Let's talk about the market here. Now, so like I said, I expect us to go lower here. We can see that we have the moving averages pushing in. So Tom's short should be picking up and making some money. Whoop, whoop. Shout out.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm up $72.
There we go. But the biggest thing is this, is the reason why I bring this up is the war is definitely messing with the price of crude oil, and we're watching it really starting to pick up here. So for me, I want you guys to be ready, because again, this is inflation. It's not inflationary in the idea of we're seeing money being printed from the US government. This is important to understand, to see the nuance here. This is a temporary situation that we're seeing price in crude oil shoot up. And so with that said, you guys just be ready for a bigger price hike in crude oil. Like I said, I thought we wouldn't, and this is always hard. The next leg up, if we continue up and stay above that 8-period moving average on the daily, the next level is that 89, 88 area. So we're talking almost a full 10 points, which you will feel at the gas pump. Again, this is going to cause everything else to go up in value. And this is why I was saying that we need to be careful with just yelling at Mr. Powell. Literally, because he's trying to walk this balance rope of, if we drop price hard here, then this really could exacerbate inflation as we see things just go crazy high, because that's more money being flooded into the system and then causing price to go up. So again, there's a balancing here that needs to happen. So that's why we brought up Iran and the war that's happening, because it's correlated here. And to understand that correlation is very important for most people, that they don't care to learn, but I want to give them at least some understanding behind it.
Well, I get it. I do enjoy those talks.
Yeah. But people don't.
No, I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that completely. But those talks can be a good 4-hour talk.
Yeah.
They can be a good 4-hour talk. And frankly, I think our Rumble crew appreciates that more than our YouTube crew.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Especially when we blame much of the world's problems on Democrats.
Yes. Yeah.
One of my and I'm jesting a little bit. Obviously, all politicians cause problems. One of my favorite Simpsons episodes, Pedro, is a long time ago. It was like in season 3 or 4 or something like that. They have then the early versions of Fox News on, and they're running at the bottom. This ticker thing at the bottom is a ticker, but it's also called a chyron. That's news thing that the news guys run across the bottom all the time. And on the Simpsons show, they were showing their funny version of Fox News, and the chyron, all it said was "Democrats cause cancer," and it was a funny joke to the biasness of one media outlet versus another. But it's just funny. But that being the point is that the Rumble crew appreciates that more than the YouTube crew. And I should say that Rumble algorithm probably appreciates it more than the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, welcome to everybody that's joining us. We're going to have a short show here today. We're going to be ending in about 10 minutes because the global headquarters here of this massive media network that Pedro and I are part of apparently doesn't have a generator. And we just want new computers first, that we can worry about power and generators some other day. And the power is being turned off in the building to reset the electrical system after a fire. So we'll be short here. One of the good things to talk about is that I am short here in the market. And
that was good play. Very good
making some bucks.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's turning around. Looks like it's bouncing off that 786. Well, whatever. The point is, I'm in the you can see my P&L line is that red line right up here.
Just wait just for a second, because look, right now we're creating the hourly.
Oh, I'm not going to close it. This is going down further today.
So you can see here that we just created a new hour. We gap down, which means that their sellers are in control. We'll most likely see it come up, tap the high. You can see, like I've said, that 30-minute. Oh, well, I was like, wait, what just happened? This is not looking. There we go. You can see here that 30-minute moving averages has been playing and holding price lower. So you could take part of your profit now, right? Take, like I always say, 60, 70%, and then wait for the pullback into that 8-period moving average, if not our moving average. You can see that the hour might pull back up into these higher levels here. So it's just one of those things that you can play here, take off a portion, let it run and see what you want to see. And, it's so that you put money in your pocket, right? I always say,
pay the trader.
Pay the trader. Yep. So those little small details, I always try to go over so you guys have a good understanding on when you're in a profitable trade, how to let it run without stressing it, right? Now, if you're one of those guys who go all in and just let it let's go, right? Go bomb it. Then you can do that. But I always say it should pull back here a little, create the demand or the supply wick or your seller wick so go up and then come down. And so you can see that kind of happening here already right now. Now, is that big enough? I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But I just want to give you just heads up so you know how to maneuver that trade. What else am I going to say here?
Pedro, I got to interrupt you.
Oh yes, please do.
It's that time. That's our little new notification to let you know that a ad is incoming here. And I thought I hit the accept and start button and it's not working. That means it canceled out there. Hold on, let me try it again.
While Tom is doing that, and you can interrupt at any time if we have the ability to do that. I want to kind of go over Ethereum here, because Ethereum, we've been talking about it continuing down. Here's a little play that you guys could take part in. We have another area here. I was looking at this morning saying, I didn't really point that out. It's a daily zone as well as a weekly zone here. Might work, might not. But the biggest thing is this, is that we could see a turnaround here. We have the 8-period moving average sitting up at that 2433 area. Again, you would be playing this if you are outside the United States. You can play this. If you're in the United States, you can maybe play it. Depends on how you understand the way things work with perpetuals. But you can see here that we have the weekly period moving average sitting, which is going to be at that 2433. And additionally to that, we also have a liquidity point of a weekly low here. So we could come down, tap below here on the Ethereum network, boom, and then pop up, take portions of that. Most likely this might go for a day or two, but ultimately I always say, get your 1-to-1 ratio, take off 60%, 70%, and then let the baby run, and let's see that 40%, see where it can go, or 30%. So that's in a nutshell, and that's a nice little play that you can play there. So that's it in a nutshell right
I'm getting
there.
some weird error. It's a cancellation limit reached, and I've never canceled anything in my life on these ads. I want that 53 cents.
Yeah, so you need to call them up and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. Yep. Are you serious? If you guys are monitoring this, please go through, figure out what's happening so we can actually understand it. Because honestly, the more we got those, the better. And then more importantly, then it pushes our viewership out there. So if you guys are new here as well, and you just stumbled up onto us, what we are is we are a daily talk show for about 2 hours. Today, not so much, where we go over everything in the market in relationship to crypto and as well as TradFi. And right now, as we speak, we're seeing many legislations coming in, and TradFi and crypto are kind of merging in this beautiful symphony of a beautiful rainbow happening. Right, it's almost it's amazing. Like just the Stablecoin Act, watching the Banking Act come in, and then in additionally to that, you have the why am I calling it the Genesis Act? Oh man, what is it?
Genius.
Oh, Genius Act. As you can tell, I'm definitely not a genius. So, but in the same sense, watching all of these things happen and watching it really progress. I mean, almost at a quick pace here. So I don't think TradFi or traditional finance is really even ready to sit there and say we're going to go 24/7. Let's go. But honestly, and if you're new here, we'd like to go over how the merge is actually happening, not to be confused from the merge from Ethereum, in which we were just talking about, but watching it kind of melt together and watching the institutions. And we try to explain it in a very down-to-earth, simple way so that we can really have you guys kind of understand what's happening, and then also trying to take advantage of a lot of this stuff, right? Saying, hey, it's a good time to buy, potentially. Again, it's not financial advice, and it's for education and social purposes only, because we have to do that here in America because I don't want to get sued. But in addition to that, if a price drops, and we do expect these prices to drop, then you have the ability to maybe get in at a good deal. And so we've done that multiple times here, and I like to help you out. So we saw a spike there, and I just want to say thank you to all those who are watching us. You guys rock the mic as always. Whoop whoop. Okay.
All right, Pedro, we're gonna need to wrap this up because I want to spin my computer down before the power goes off.
I got you. Well, guys, thank you for coming in. We saw a pretty good spike there. Actually, I didn't realize.
Yeah, literally, probably probably our second or third best day on Rumble there for continuous users.
Yeah, guys, thank you. Please come back again. Please jump in, subscribe to us, get notified when we do go live so that you can actually really take part in this. And if you come in and you create a small profile, we'd love for you to just interact. Call me an idiot, say you don't know what you're talking about, Pedro, keep your mouth shut, and your big nose and your long hair. Out of here, and whatever. Me and Tom typically don't get offense unless you talk about kids or whatever. But hey, it's all good.
All right, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to our shortened show today due to fire alarms and power going off. But as always, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. The man in the box next to me is Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. This show is called DYOR Live on the DYOR Media Network. We have a whole bunch of shows. Hit our website to look into them. Hit our YouTube channel to hit them all. But more than that, be here tomorrow at the same time. Later.